Professor Wergeles here. Make sure you save all of your files before we proceed. And I want you to get in the mindset that every time I save a file, I'm going to then commit that file. Remember Git and GitHub. So let's go over to the command line. I'm going to do a pwd. Let's check out the current path to the directory that I'm in. And you'll see I'm still in lecture 12. So I'm going to do a cd ... which is going to go back a directory. Do an ls. I'm going to go back another directory, do an ls. You'll see now I have lecture 13. So I'm going to cd into L13, hit tab, hit enter, do an ls. You'll see building apps 1 during class. So I'm going to cd b, hit tab, ls. And you'll see I have 3 coding examples here. So I'm in a directory, and here's my project, and I want to keep track of these 3 files. However, if I do a git status, you'll see not a git repository, or any of the parent directories is not a git repository. It needs the .git file. So I need to do a git init. Let's create a git repository on our local machine. And if I do a git status, you'll see I have 3 files here. The .ds store is actually a Mac file that is the database for the file system. So we don't need to keep track of it. I'm going to git add these 3 files. I'm going to add 1. I'm also going to add 2. And I'm going to add 3. So I type 3, hit tab. It's going to type the name for you. Now if I do a git status, I've added these 3 to be tracked. But these are directories. So it's going to add every single file in that directory. So I have number 1 position.html. Inside the Polaroid example, it actually added the DS store. It added the TTFs, added the license, added the JPEGs, and that's probably not necessary. So if I want to change files to be committed, I'll do a git remove -- cache and the file name. So I'm actually going to do a git remove -- cached, and then I'm going to remove number 2. We're moving a directory, and I need to do it recursively. So I'll click on up to bring back the same command. I'm going to do a -r here, and then cached. So it's going to remove all those files I just added. If I do a git status, you should see 1 and 3. But in 3, I am also adding a bunch of images which are unnecessary to be tracked. So I'm going to do a git remove -r -- cached, and I'm going to remove number 3. So we don't want to keep track of everything. We only want to keep track of our code and files that will be changing frequently. So if I do a git status, you'll see only 1 file is being monitored. So I'm actually going to not add everything in 2. I'm actually going to only add, let's say, our HTML file. So you see CSS3 Polaroid example.html. I'm going to add that. I'm not going to add the fonts and images. And then in number 3, if I type 3, hit tab. Now keep typing tab. So tab, tab. You'll see the available files I have to keep track of. Well, jQuery we're not going to change, and images aren't going to change, and the Photoshop's not going to change. So I'm just going to track the index.html, and then I'll do a git status. So I'm only going to be tracking 3 files. Number 1, position.html. Number 2, Polaroid example.html. Number 3, index.html. And the other ones are untracked. Now, a lot of times people don't care. They just say add all of them, git commit -a. I'm going to add everything, and then I'm going to keep track of it even though it's not going to change. So it depends on what you want to do. For me, these files are irrelevant to keep track of, so I like to add just individual files. Now they're in the staged area. I need to commit them. So I'll do a git commit -m. So this is after we finish the position.html file. So that's what I'll type as my comment. I'll say finished position.html example. Enter. You'll see it added the 3 files. So now if I make changes to number 2 or 3, it's going to keep track of. If I do a git status, you'll see on master branch, these are the untracked files. Nothing added to commit, but untracked files present. So either I can add them or I can ignore them. In this case, I'm going to ignore those files. Okay, we just finished the commit. We need to go back to the slides, but we're going to do that in the next video. We'll see you in the next video.